Okay, great. That is super. Oh, I see another little person back there. Okay, so how did it go this week?
Good.
Okay.
Good.
That's great. Let's see. I haven't had a chance to look at your keyword outlines yet. And I will do that, but I probably am not going to do it while we're in class. So did everybody get their keyword outline document uploaded? Let's see. Oh, I think I do need to look at it because, hold on just a minute. I'm not going to do a screen share here, but I noticed somebody the other day had uploaded their keyword outlines like one at a time. And that's really long and complicated for me to open up. So there's a little video that is made. Okay, looks like everybody's done it. Awesome. All right, now I do want your first and last name. I want your documents with your, oh, you know what? I didn't put it on here to show you what kind of file name I want. So I need to go back and do that. I do want your first and last name, and I want the assignment number. So I will put this on here. Hold on just a minute. Hold on just a minute. All right, let's see. So when you name your files, this will be your PDF, right? Let me put this on here. And this will be in your instructions now. Okay, great. So what I would like to do is hear an oral report from each of you. Did everybody do their oral reports? And okay,
Yes.
did all the keyword outlines? Good. And whichever one you liked the most, okay, I would like for you to find it, and I would like for you to give us an oral report.
I can't see you.
You can't?
Oh,
Can everyone
okay.
see me?
Yeah, I can now.
Okay. I think you must not be in a good location for getting a really good connection for some reason, John. I have places in my house that are like that too.
Should I move?
Well, do you know a place that's a really good connection in your house?
My dining room would be better. I'm sitting outside, so
Yeah,
that's not going to be much help.
Yeah, is that all right with your mom if you move? Is there a lot of stuff going on inside the house where that would be not a good place?
I think she'd be okay with it. I can ask
Okay,
her.
go ask her and ask her if she can help you. Okay, and we're going to go on and start doing the oral reports, and then you can do yours once you get it set up. I just don't want you to miss a whole lot of stuff. Okay. All right, let's see. Who wants to go first, Gray or Hannah? Gray, are you volunteering?
Sure.
Okay, tell us what your subject is going to be, your topic.
I don't really have a favorite one, so I'll just pick one. But
okay.
Polar bears.
Okay, now when you do this, I want you to make sure you're using your keyword outline. I didn't say this, but use your keyword outline. Don't look at the original. Okay, and tell us about polar bears.
Polar bears. Polar bears live in the Arctic. They are the biggest bears on Earth. They have thick fur to keep them warm. Their fur is white. This helps them hide and blend into the snow.
Oh, I love how you combined those 2 points into one sentence, because these sentences are all really, really short, right?
Yeah.
That's a great change there. Okay.
Leaving only their noses to be seen.
Ooh, good ing there.
Their noses are strong. Their noses help smell animals hiding in the snow. Polar bears are strong swimmers. They can swim 50 miles. Their blubber and fur keeps them cozy in the cold waters. And they shake off to dry.
Good job. Excellent oral report. And I could see some definite changes in what was actually written in the original paragraph, and that is great. Remember, we're not going for exact repetition because in writing, that's considered a crime, and it's called plagiarism when you use somebody else's words in place of your own words, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one reason we want to learn how to keyword outline, so we can just put down just enough information to remember what the fact is, and then we can say things in our own way. Thank you for being brave, Gray, and going first. John, how does that connection seem? Uh-oh. Can you hear me, John?
A lot better.
Okay.
Yes.
You're still a little jerky there, but I can hear you. So hopefully this will work out okay. All right, let's see. Who wants to go next, John or Hannah? Hannah is volunteering.
I will.
Okay, Hannah said she would go next. So Hannah, what are you going to tell us about?
The reindeer.
Okay, reindeer.
Reindeer are migrating animals. They live in herds. Tundra is warm in the summer for them, so they stay there then. When the winter becomes cold, they travel south to Europe and Asia.
Oh, a great combination of sentences there with a www.Asia clause, which is something we learn in level 1. Okay.
It is warmer than the tundra, but it's still snow and ice.
Great combination.
It is warm enough for the reindeer, but in summer comes to migrating tundra.
Super job. Excellent. Okay, now that wasn't so hard, was it? Thank you for being brave. Okay, John, your turn. What are you going to tell us about? And y'all make sure when you do the oral reports in class that you keep the original put away, just like you do when you do it at home for your editor, okay? And just look at your keyword outline and use your keyword outline. Okay, John, now what were you going to tell us? Uh-oh, we lost Gray.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Since we're going on a trip, I'm gonna do one. We worked ahead since we're going on a long trip, so I'm doing one from assignment 2, if that's okay.
Okay, you can. And I can't remember. Are you going to be gone next time, or are you going to do it while you're on your trip? Can you hear me?
I'm just gone for a couple of days.
Okay, okay.
Not for the class.
Okay, well, I always love it when people do extra work, so good for you.
Yes, I will be gone. Yes, I will be gone for the class. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. So you want to do one of these animal ones, so that's great. So what are you going to tell us about?
The finny fox.
Okay, some of these animals I'd never heard before. I was just looking for unusual animals. Some of them aren't that unusual. They're just animals that I like, but I'd never heard of the finny fox before. Okay. Let's see, Gray's trying to get back in. He must have just totally lost his connection. Hold on just a second.
Can I go ahead and start?
Yes, you can go ahead and start.
The finny fox. The finny fox lives in the deserts of North Africa and Saudi Arabia. It is the smallest fox in the world, only 14 to 17 inches long. It only weighs 2 to 3.5 pounds. It uses its tail to help change direction. It is an agile creature with very huge ears.
Oh, I love
So it
that.
can hear.
Agile creature. Great.
So it can hear very long distances.
Mhm.
It rests during the day in the sand and hunts at night.
Good combination there.
It blends in with the color of the sand to help it hunt.
Super job. All right. Excellent. Yes, so as John just revealed to us, we're going to next be doing keyword outlining on page 70 and 71, and these are cool mammals. Is anybody doing some kind of life science this year for school? Anybody doing that? So these assignments number 2 through 8 are different, you call them classifications? I can't remember. So I've got amphibians, I've got reptiles, I've got birds, and I tried to find some really strange creatures for some of them. So I think you'll enjoy. Who in here enjoys reading and studying about animals? Any animal lovers? Okay. Well, I think you'll enjoy that. After we get through with all the different the classes of animals, we'll move on to Italy. And then we'll do some about Georgia, which is where I happen to live. And the very last one we're going to do for the year is our Constitution. So I had a lot of fun writing these paragraphs. I wrote these paragraphs. So anyway, I think you're going to enjoy it. Everybody has their own favorites, you know. So, okay. Well, you guys, I'm really excited to see how well you did. So I actually have a paragraph I thought we would just try keyword outlining together. Hold on just a second. Let me put it up on the screen here.
Miss Kimbrell.
Yes.
I actually love birds. We actually have a bird, so you might hear some like squeaking noises. That's him.
Ooh. What kind of bird do you have?
Green cheek conure.
A what?
Green cheek conure.
Green cheek conure. Oh, wow. Maybe when we do the bird section, you can plan ahead. And when we come back to class to do our oral reports and stuff, you could actually let us see your bird. You know, does the bird have a cage in the house, or where does he live?
He lives in the house. He is right there.
Oh, how beautiful. It looks like a tiny little parrot. Is it a type of parrot?
Yeah.
It is?
He's only 9 months old.
How old?
9 months.
That is the prettiest bird. Oh, I love that green color. You know, I'm really into colors. Y'all can probably tell that by looking at my room behind me. And look at that tail. Is that orange?
It's red.
It's red.
It doesn't even look real. You know, it looks like somebody made that up on a canvas.
You see the blue? That's his flying feathers.
Yes, I love it. Is he sweet?
Yes, he is.
Oh.
That is so darling. Thank you for sharing that with us. You know, you might actually write up a little, do some research and write up a little bird paragraph, Hannah, and give us a report about that particular kind of bird when we get to that. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, great idea. Let's see. So what I'd like to do now is do a keyword outline together. Y'all are doing really well. So I'm going to do a screen share here. And I think I figured out, was it this class that I had trouble last week making the print move with the with my writing, with the screen? Must have been a different class. I can't remember.
No, it was last class.
Huh?
It was last class. You had trouble moving the.
Yeah. Well, I think I figured out why. I think I put it on view screen, and I really need to have it on Word. So I'm hoping that when I write something here, it's not going to do what it did last time. Let's see. I knew that there was a way to do it, but I just couldn't figure it out last week. Let's see. Hold on a minute. Okay. All right. Let me see if this works. Oh, that's right. I got to do annotate. No, that's not what I do. That's what caused the problem last time. Pins. That is not what I want. Hold on a minute. Okay. Can you all see me clicking around on this thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see if it's going to work here. Ta-da! Yay! Figured it out. Okay. So I'm not going to have that trouble that I had last time. Okay. So let's read this together. In Georgia, we have 110 miles of beach, and it's some of the most pristine salt marshes in the world. And I just love, I love learning about, ecology and geography and all the different animals that you find in different places. So one of my favorites is a sea turtle. And we used to go to Hunting Island a lot when my children were growing up, and there were lots of sea turtle nests. We went for a hatching watch one time, but nothing ever happened. We were hoping to see little tiny baby turtles marching down to the sea, but it never happened. Kind of sad. Okay. Huh?
We used to live in Hawaii, so we used to always swim with sea turtles.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness, how exciting. Okay, I need to put a Roman numeral 1 here. Hold on just a minute.
Is this on a page for this?
No, we're just going to do this together. I just think we should work on keyword outlining a lot. Y'all seem to be catching on really fast. I did have some students last year that didn't catch on quite as fast. But that's okay, because eventually they did. But I just think we probably need to do more practice in class, okay?
Are we going to do it in our book?
Yeah, you can do it in your composition book. That's a great idea. Okay. So I'm going to read through this. Actually, let's take turns reading. So we'll go in this order. I'll go, and then Hannah will read the next sentence, and then Gray will read the next sentence, and then John will read the next sentence, and then I'll start the process over, okay? We're just going to go one sentence at a time reading it. I think that'll be better than me just sitting there reading it to y'all. Probably be more interesting, okay? All right, sea turtle. Georgia is the summer home for several species of sea turtles.
Loggerhead is the most common.
They spend the cold months in the tropics.
In late spring, they travel to Georgia.
During the summer, they mate. Okay, your turn, Hannah.
Each year, about 1,000 sea turtles' nests can be found on Georgia's barrier islands.
Hatchlings make their way to the water by starlight.
Scientists believe this helps set their navigation system.
Artificial light confuses the hatchlings.
During the summer and early fall, most sea turtles' beaches prohibit the fires and flashing at night.
Okay, Gray, you do the last one.
Sea turtle enthusiasts work to preserve these fascinating creatures.
Good job, you guys. Okay, let's see if we can do this keyword outline here, and y'all can write this down. So first of all, we need to put down what the topic of the paragraph is. And let's see, what would you say the topic of this paragraph is?
Sea turtles.
Definitely. Okay, so sea turtles.
Do you want us to write this
Yeah, just do a little keyword outline in your notebook.
in pen?
Yeah, pen is great. Okay. Now let's do the first sentence. What words do you think we can cross out as not being necessary in our points? In this first sentence.
Is the
The is
yeah,
the, yes.
the,
Okay.
for and of.
Yep. And there's one that we don't need to put in there because we know this whole paragraph is about this.
Sea turtles.
Exactly. We don't need to use those words sea turtles. We know that we're talking about sea turtles here. Okay. Okay. So what should we put down here, do you think? Could we use Georgia and just use an abbreviation so we don't use up our words too fast?
Yeah, GA.
GA. Great. Georgia. What if we do, let's see. Can you think of a little symbol we might draw very quickly to mean home?
House.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So that way we can say Georgia summer home. All right.
Can you just write like sun?
Yeah, you could if you wanted to. So Georgia summer home. So we've only used one real word so far. So what else could we put here?
Several species.
Yeah, I think we could, and we could maybe put the number 4 here. You would never do that in real writing, but it's okay on a keyword outline. Several species. And now we know this is about sea turtles, so we really don't need that, do we?
No.
Okay. I think that will help us remember pretty well what that's about. Okay, what words do we not need in the next one? Yes.
Is the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, we're left with 3, so what do you think we should do?
put the 3 down.
Yeah,
Go
let's
down.
loggerhead. Most common. Those are those really big sea turtles. Y'all have probably seen pictures of them. They are so amazing. Okay, good job. Does everybody have that down? Okay, they spend the cold months in the tropics. Words that we don't need. What are they?
They.
Yes. Okay, I'm having a little trouble with my pen here. They, the,
In.
yeah. Okay. Okay, so we've got 4 words left there.
We could like draw.
Should we draw a little snowstorm for cold?
Yeah, that's what I was. Thinking.
Ooh, okay. So what should we put down?
Couldn't we just put cold months tropics?
Oh, yeah. That's great. Let me see. My pen is just not very it's not very responsive today for some reason. That's a great idea. So cold months tropics. Okay. That's great. In late spring, they travel to Georgia. All right, let's think about this. What do we need to get rid of there? In. Yeah.
Do.
Yeah. Okay, we've got 4 words there. Can somebody think of a way we could do that and use all 4 of those, but not go over our 3-word limit?
Late spring travel to GA.
Yes. Okay. Great. Late spring travel. And I'm just going to use an arrow here. How about that? GA. Will that do it?
Yep.
I think it will. Okay. During the summer, they mate. All right. What can we get rid of there? Yeah. Do we really need the word during?
No.
We really do if we write a sentence, but we don't actually need it on a keyword outline, right? Okay, I can think of a way to write this in 3 words with starting with the word mate first. What do you think?
Yeah.
Mate.
Mate.
Why do we just do mate in summer? How about that?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yep.
Okay. Each year, about 1,000 sea turtle nests can be found on Georgia's barrier islands. Okay, this is getting a little complicated. Let's get rid of some words first. There's a little symbol you can use for about. I'm going to scratch that out and I'm just going to write this symbol so I'll remember it. Y'all ever seen that before?
No.
Kind of like a sideways backwards S. And that means about. Okay. 1,000 is good because we can use a number for that, right? Now, they can be found on Georgia's barrier islands, but they're still there whether you find them or not, right? I think we can get rid of all of this here. So, and then we definitely don't need sea turtles, right? Okay, now what do we have? About 1,000 nests.
You could say year could be abbreviated, and then about 1,000 the number nests buried.
Okay, let me see if I can move this down a little bit without losing the. Let's see. There we go. Okay. All right. So what about 1,000 nests barrier islands per, and how did you say to abbreviate it? Who told me that? Was that you, Gray?
I said YR.
YR. Okay. About 1,000 nests, and I just put a comma there, on the barrier islands per year. Good idea. Great. Okay. Let's see. Hatchlings make their way to the water by starlight. What little symbol can you think of that we could use for make their way to the? It's real
Miss Kimbrell?
Yeah.
What did you put slash and then XR?
YR, sorry. It looks sort of scratchy, doesn't it?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, there's a real simple symbol that we can just put here to substitute for all of that. Make their way to. What do you think it is? An arrow, exactly. I'm just going to write it here so I'll remember. So hatchlings arrow to water by starlight. Okay. I think we need that word hatchlings. What do you think? That seems like kind of an important word. What do you think?
Yeah.
Hatchlings?
Yeah.
Hatchlings arrow. Does anybody know the chemical name for water?
H2O.
H2O.
H2O. Yes. Hatchlings to water. And what else should we put?
starlight.
Yes, we could even use the word by because we haven't used too many words yet, have we? Hatchlings to water by starlight. Okay, super. Scientists believe this helps set their navigation system. We could put scientists believe if we want to, but I don't think that's really that important. What is important in that sentence?
Help navigational system.
Yeah, so believe, I'm going to draw a star here, so I'll think of using stars. So I'm just going to do this, you guys. Look at this. What do you think I'm about to do? Stars set navigation system. How would that do?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Couldn't we also put just help navigational system? Or
Yeah, it could, because probably no matter what you put there for that word gray, you're probably going to remember what the idea was, right? So if that seems better to you, you certainly could. Okay. Artificial light confuses the hatchlings. Okay, we're going to have to get rid of something here. What are we going to get rid of? What about just getting rid of that?
No.
And we already really know we're talking about hatchlings, right?
Cross it out.
Cross it out. Yeah, we can cross that out. So do you think this will help us remember what it's about? Artificial light confuses?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's put that down. Artificial light confuses. And if you wanted to, you could just draw like little baby turtle. I'm not a very good artist, but that's my best rendition of a baby turtle. Okay. Let's see. I think that's just so cool. Isn't it amazing? So when we went out there on the turtle watch, it was a good bright night with starlight, and we just were standing on the beach hoping to see the turtles. When they do hatch out, they start toward the beach and they march straight down to the water in pretty much a straight column, which is, I just wanted to see it so bad and we never did. We tried several times. What, Hannah? Uh-oh, your sound is out. That happened to somebody in level 1 on Tuesday several times. I don't know what happened. Try it again. Okay, I got you. I think that was you. Yeah. And what were you saying, Hannah?
I was saying that if they know like to go in a straight line.
Have you ever seen them hatch out and march down to the water?
No.
No, me either. I really wanted to. I really, really wanted to, but it never worked out. Okay, during summer and early fall, most sea turtle beaches prohibit fire and flashlights at night. Whoa, this is a lot of information. How are we going to do this? Okay. Let's
Take
do,
out, just take out and.
Definitely take out and. Okay.
There too.
Sea turtle.
I guess we can get rid of sea turtles.
Yeah.
All right. Have y'all used the not sign at all this week?
I have.
Okay, so the not sound sign, we might just be able to do this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not or no, fires, flashlights. And I'll put a comma, beaches. Will that help us remember that fact?
Yeah.
Yeah. They get confused and they kind of like will go in a circle if they can't get their navigation system set correctly, which is just amazing, isn't it? Now, are y'all familiar with this word, enthusiasts? Have you ever heard of that word before?
Heard it, but I don't know what it means.
Okay, do you know what the word enthusiastic means?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, it means somebody that you're really excited about something, right? So a sea turtle enthusiast is somebody who's really excited and fascinated to with sea turtles. Okay. They have sea turtle volunteers that go around, at least at the Hunting Island beach where we used to go. And they actually find the sea turtle nest when they're located in places that aren't really safe. And they dig them up and they move all of the eggs to an enclosure, a fence. It's like a chain link fence because raccoons will dig them up and eat them. Oh, look, there's the bird. Raccoons will dig up the eggs and eat them. They're different, predators that will eat sea turtle eggs. And so they'll move these things into a fence that has a top over it. And the chain link is too small for the animals to get through. But it's small enough, it's big enough for the sea turtles to get through. So when they hatch, they locate them, kind of near the beach. And when they hatch, they just march down to the water. So that's a sea turtle enthusiast, somebody who's really, really into sea turtles. Okay, so anyway, why don't we just use a person for this? We don't have to. If you wanted to use that word, you could. I'm not sure if we can fit it in. People. What else could we put instead of sea turtles enthusiasts? What else do we need here?
Can we put enthusiasts preserve creatures?
You could. Enthusiasts. And what was your next one?
Preserve creatures.
Preserve. Yes, that's great. Preserve. And we let's see, these fascinating creatures, we're talking about sea turtles. So preserve, why don't we just say them? Okay. Or you could say creatures, but then, we're specifically talking about sea turtles here. So if we just put creatures, that doesn't really get to the heart of it, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, can we give an oral report using our keyword outline?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay. I think we will do it in the same order that we did it before. I'll go, then Hannah, then Gray, then John, and we'll just keep going till we get done, okay?
Would you write enthusiasts?
Yes. enthusiasts. You can't really read that very well. I don't know why. Must have been running out of space on my graphic tablet. Okay. All right. Are we ready to do a report now? All right. I'm going to go first. Georgia's Barrier Island beaches are the summer home for several species of sea turtles. Uh-oh, I lost you again, Hannah.
Me?
There you go. There you go.
I just have to speak louder. Loggerheads are the most common sea turtle.
Okay,
In cold months, they journey to the tropics.
super. John, your turn.
In late spring, they travel to Georgia.
These loggerhead sea turtles mate in the summer while they're in Georgia.
Hannah.
What? Say it again.
That symbol in the beginning.
Oh, that's the little kind of like sideways S, and it means about.
And Berry Islands each year.
Okay, Gray.
The hatchlings march to the water by starlight.
Ooh, I love that. March. Great.
The stars set their navigation system.
Artificial light confuses the hatchlings so that they do not make it to the water safely. Hannah, if you're talking, I can't hear you. You're not talking?
No.
Okay. You're thinking. That's fine. Why did you start out with people should not? Will that help you? Okay. So lean in a little bit and say it again. I can't really hear you.
Fires at beaches.
Good. Okay. All right. Let's see. And Gray, you go last.
The enthusiasts help preserve these sea turtles.
Super. Okay. Y'all did great. This is not as easy of a paragraph as the one we did last week, was it? So super job. I just love sea turtles, so I really wanted to do that one. Okay, the next thing I would like to do is I'd like to hear your poems. Now, I did send emails that had audio files with the poems in there. Did everybody see those and get those? Hannah, I know that your mom said you all downloaded them. John and Gray, did you find them? You found them? What about y'all, John?
We found them, but my mom can't hear them. But we can't hear them. We
can't hear them. But
I still got them memorized and all. I still have them memorized.
Well, it's really fun and helpful to listen to them. I will have to try to get together with you and figure out what's going on. They have to be unzipped and saved into a playlist. So I don't know if that's something that we need to figure out with you guys or what. So, okay. All right. So I am ready to hear your poems. Who got the first one completely memorized? Okay. All right. You memorized 3? Okay.
Me too.
Y'all all memorized the first 3?
I memorized 3 and I have 3 paragraphs of the fourth one memorized, sort of.
That is amazing. Okay, so let's see. I was making Hannah go first, and all of y'all. So maybe I should let somebody else go first this time. Who would like to recite the first poem for us first? Okay. Okay, go ahead, Gray.
Ooey Gooey by author unknown. Ooey Gooey was a worm, a mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad track, the train he did not see. Ooey Gooey.
Great job. John, I saw your hand up. Are you ready?
Yep. Celery by Ogden Nash. Celery raw develops the jaw, but celery stewed is more quietly chewed.
Good job. Okay. Hannah, what do you want to recite?
Little Man Who Wasn't There.
Okay. Okay.
As I was going up the stairs, I met a man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. I wish he stayed away.
You guys, this is great. I can't believe y'all did 3 poems without even saying, now make sure you do all 3 of the first poems. Super job. Okay. So, are you saying that you're close to finishing The Vulture? Who said that? Gray?
I've memorized The Vulture, but I've also started the next one, Jonathan Blake, 18 Musketeers.
Oh, that's one of my favorites. Okay, so can you say The Vulture, Gray?
The vulture eats between his meals, and that's the reason why.
Oh, wait, first say the title and say the author. This is the coolest author's name in the book, I think.
Okay, it might be a bit blurry since I haven't really recited in a little while.
Okay, his name is Hilaire Belloc. Isn't that a great name? Okay.
The Vulture by Hilaire Belloc. The vulture eats between his meals, and that's the reason why he very, very rarely feels as well as you or I. His eyes dull, his head is bald, his neck is growing thinner. Oh, what a lesson for us all to only eat at dinner.
I love that. Okay, has anybody else done The Vulture? No?
No.
But you'll be starting to work on it, I guess, tomorrow, right? And of course, what I want you to do is to continue to review the poems you've already learned, maybe one each day, okay? While you're working on a new poem, don't let the old poems go.
Usually I memorize it and then go say all the poems in a row for memorization.
That's good. But at least say one of the ones you've already learned each day, like a different one. So for instance, if Hannah is doing The Vulture tomorrow, she can work on The Vulture. And did you all use the method that I have in the handbook about reading it out, listening to it, reading it out loud, then letting your editor leave things off the ends of the sentences for you? Okay, that'll get more important as you go, as the poems get more complicated. Okay, So if you were working on The Vulture tomorrow, just starting to learn it, then you could, after you finish working on The Vulture, then you would want to recite Ooey Gooey. And then maybe the next day you're working on The Vulture and you're going to recite Celery. And then the next day you're working on The Vulture and you're going to recite The Little Man Who Wasn't There. Or you can recite all of the poems you know, which would be great. Now, this is a wonderful thing because you can become very popular at gatherings by reciting your poems. These poems are really fun, and there's a lot of people who would probably enjoy listening to you do this. So look for opportunities to say your poems, either for family members. I know Hannah's got a couple of younger sisters, and I think I saw somebody at your house there, John. Was that a little sister that I saw in the background?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can entertain your siblings, and your siblings can even learn the poems with you if they want to. Katie, who was in
They have.
Huh? They have?
My sister has learned one of them. Just listening.
Katie, who was in Prep 1 last year, would babysit, and so she would say the poems for the kids that she was babysitting. So, and then, so you'll want to just keep practicing them and saying them for people. You know, back in the old days, people would memorize poems and they would say them for parties and things, and that was, people didn't have, you know, screen things to do, and they enjoyed listening to people recite very wonderful poems. And it's something we should bring back. you know? So, all right, let me see. You think you know a little bit of After the Party, Grayson? What if I reviewed you?
Could you tell me the author again?
Yes, After the Party by William Wise. Okay. Do you want me to start you out?
I think I got it.
Okay.
After the Party by William Wise. Jonathan Blake ate too much cake and he isn't himself today. He's tucked up in bed with a feverish head and doesn't much care to play. Jonathan Blake ate too much cake and 3 kinds of ice cream too. From his last reports, he's quite out of sorts, and I believe the reports are true.
Yay! I'm sorry to state that he also
ate
6 pickles, a pie, and a
pear.
In fact, I confess it's a reasonable.
Yes.
He ate practically everything
there.
Yes, Jonathan Blake ate too much
cake.
So he's not at his best today. But there's no need for sorrow. If you come back
tomorrow,
I'm sure he'll be out too.
Okay.
Excellent work. Very good. Okay. Well, I'm very excited about this. Y'all have exceeded my expectations. So I hope you'll do that again because now you've spoiled me. Okay. All right. So now we're going to read one of my favorite books and we're going to analyze it. Okay. And this is a book that I found when my kids were pretty young, and I kept checking it out from the library because we all loved it so much. And finally, I decided a few years ago that I liked it so much that I wanted to have my own copy of it. And so I now own a copy of Harald and the Giant Knight. Have any of you all ever heard this book? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, I'm going to plug in my extra camera here so you can see it. Tablet plugged in, or I can have my camera plugged in, but I can't plug them both in at the same time. That's okay, because we don't need the graphic tablet right now. Okay, let me do share screen. I love books, and I have so many of them, of my children's books, other books. And who remembers our quotation from C.S. Lewis about children's books? Does anybody remember that quotation?
A little bit.
Okay, let's look at I want y'all to get this into your head because it's such a true thing. And I want you to really enjoy all kinds of books. So look at page 47 in your handbook. C.S. Lewis said, I put in what I would have liked to read when I was a child and what I still like reading now that I'm in my 50s. A children's story which is enjoyed only by children is a bad children's story. The good ones last. So all these books that I read to you, I've read as an adult and have really come to love them because they're really good books. Okay. So let's read Harald and the Giant Knight. Let me see if I can get this thing out of the way here. Hide floating meeting controls. Okay. All right. Has anybody ever gone through a period of time, or maybe you're even in it right now, where you really love stories about knights and shining armor and all of that kind of thing? No? Okay. Well, Harald does. He loves all of these things. So Harald and the Giant Knight by Donald Carrick. And this is a really neat book. I think he did a lot of research writing this book about This was an old discarded library book. I don't know why a library would get rid of this, but I ordered it off of Amazon. Okay. I really love the drawings in here. And as far as I can tell, this takes place somewhere in Europe during the medieval period. Probably Germany by the names that are given to some of the characters in here. Okay. All right, let me move this over just a little bit. Harald lived with his mother Helga and his father Walter in the valley which spread beneath the castle. Oh, and I want you to be listening for who the main characters are, especially the main character. And what do you remember what we call that person? Starts with a P.
The protagonist?
Yes. And the people that oppose the protagonist or the person is called the
antagonist.
Antagonist, exactly. So be listening for who you think that is and what their problem is, what the conflict is that they're trying to solve in the story, okay? Harald lived with his mother, Helga, and his father, Walter, in the valley which spread beneath the castle. The valley was owned by a baron who lived in the castle, surrounded by his knights. All the farmers in the valley had to give the baron part of their crops. He, in turn, allowed them to farm his land. Harald's family had farmed the same land for as long as anyone could remember. Harald's father was a weaver as well as a farmer. He wove eel traps, screens, hats, fences, chairs, and every manner of basket. One spring morning, Harald climbed up to the castle with baskets his father had woven for the castle kitchen. After he delivered the baskets, he wandered through the passageways, exploring the wondrous stone chambers. There's Harald. Many were larger than his home. Harald was especially fond of the baron's knights. Knights were different from other folk. They were huge, scarred men who wore leather and metal clothes covered by bright tunics. The knights spoke with deep voices, and their clothing creaked and clanked as they walked by. Harald burned to be one of them. Harald loved the jousts when two knights fought. Best of all were the tournaments. Then he could watch all the baron's knights clash with the knights from another castle in a mock battle. Nothing made Harald happier than to see the galloping horses and the swirling banners and to hear the clang of sword against shield. On this particular morning, the baron announced that it was time to begin training for the summer tournaments. Sorry, there's a really bad glare there. Let me see if I can turn that down a little bit. Doesn't really help, does it? A great cheer went up from the knights. They were restless after the long winter they had spent inside the castle. As Harald walked home, he wished he could train with them. The next morning, a terrible racket woke Harald. He ran outside to find his father in a fit. Men from the castle were swarming all over their farm. Horns blew, kettle drums boomed, tents were going up. "What's happening?" Harald asked. "The knights' regular practice fields are flooded, so they've come here to train," his father said. Harald watched as knights strutted about, shouting 1,000 orders. "We're ruined," groaned Walter. "With all of this foolish practice on our fields, how can we plant the spring crops?" Harald understood how his father felt. Without a harvest, his family would have no food and could not pay the baron for the use of his land. But at the same time, it was Harald's dream come true. All the knights were right here on his family farm. Walter's fields were transformed into a jousting arena in which the knights galloped about on large horses and practiced with their lances. Since no farming could be done, Harald spent all his time at the knights' camp. Soon he was helping with the horses and tending the fires. Perhaps there was a chance for him to become a knight after all. The knight's presence changed everything on the farm. There were no more eggs to collect because the constant noise caused the chickens to stop laying. The pigs grew nervous and lost weight. Harald could not believe it when the knights tested their swords by chopping into his father's carefully tended fruit trees. The stone boundary fences his grandfather had built were broken and scattered. It's starting to look like not such a good situation for Harald after all, isn't it? The knights had huge appetites. To fill the camp cook pots, they simply took what they wanted from Walter and the other valley farmers. Chickens, ducks, pigs, and goats disappeared into their stew pots and on the roasting spits. Harald was shocked. He had always thought the knights were strong, brave men who spent their time helping people. Instead, he saw them ruin the land and plunder the farms like thieves. Walter was pleased when Harald announced one day that he was no longer going to the camp. Harald had lost his taste for the knightly life. To save what little food they had left, Helga gathered it together and put it in a sack. When it was dark, Harald went with his father to hide it. They carried the food down a small path past the knight's camp to a secret cave. Harald had discovered the cave one day last summer while he was picking berries. They hid the food on a high ledge. When they returned home, no one could sleep, so they sat together around their small fire. There seemed to be no answer to their problem. There's a key word there, a clue word. Problem. So what is their problem in this story? Okay, speak up a little bit. I can't hear you very well.
The knights are like trashing and taking all their stuff.
Yes, exactly. Okay. If I were big, I'd thrash all the knights and send them running, said Harald. It's the only thing they understand. No one is big enough to do that, answered Helga, except another knight. Walter said nothing, but his hands began weaving. The giant shadows his father cast on the wall gave Harald an idea. I know how we can get rid of the knights, he said. His father stopped weaving. What do you mean, son? He asked. Well, why can't we make a knight to frighten them? And just how would we do that, Harald? Asked Helga. Father is a master weaver, isn't he? He can weave anything. Why can't he weave a giant knight? A smile spread over Walter's face. Let's hear more, he said. Excitedly, they talked late into the night as idea led to idea. By the morning, they had a plan. From the next day on, Harald's family spent all their time at the cave, weaving their giant. Harald made trip after trip to the cave, bringing Walter great bundles of reeds. One afternoon, rabbit hunters from the camp almost discovered the cave as Harald was about to enter. I guess that's the cave opening right there. Where are you bound with that bundle, lad? Called the leader, coming closer. Harald knew that once the dogs got near the entrance to the cave, all would be lost. Oh, I'm on my way to build a rabbit hut, she replied, thinking quickly. Rabbits? What rabbits? Demanded the hunter. The rabbits in the thicket down the ravine. It's full of them, said Harald. Well, lad, we'll just take a look at this thicket of yours, said the leader, and the hunters marched on. With each bundle of Harald's reeds, the basket knight grew larger. Harald was very proud of his father's skill. He was sure nothing this large had ever been woven. By daylight, he will probably look Let's see, I'll let you see Harold there. By daylight, he will probably look rather patchy, Walter said, but by night, after the knights have finished drinking and are asleep, our night should be very frightening. Helga decided to make a cape for him. Finally, the giant basket knight was finished. He was almost too large to squeeze through the cave entrance. Carefully, they mounted the creature on Patience, their old plow horse, and tied it down. Walter led Patience down the narrow trail. The knight looked huge, but weighed so little that each draft from the valley caught it like a sail. Harald clung to a rope to steady the creature. At one spot, the trees were so close, they almost pushed the basket knife off Patience's back. When the knight swayed back and forth, it looked even more ghost-like. These paths were not made for giants, Harald whispered. Each small farm along the way had a dog that barked as the giant drew near. Harald started to shiver. What if they were discovered? Fortunately, no one woke. When they arrived at the edge of camp, the knights were all asleep. It was Harald's task to enter the camp and untie the horses. He slipped quietly past the tents full of snoring knights. By day, he knew the camp, but by night, it seemed different. Let's see if I can do this. Maybe that'll help. Ah, that's better, isn't it? One mistake could ruin everything. At last, he found the horses and with trembling hands untied the knots. The freed horses began to wander through the camp. In the light of the early moon, Harald saw the giant knight loom above the trees. That thing looks pretty realistic, doesn't it? The moment he appeared, Walter and Helga began a horrific clamor. She claimed pots while he made loud moaning sounds through a long wooden tube. That was the signal for Harald to dart from tent to tent, pulling up tent pegs. One after another, the tents collapsed on the sleeping knights. The bewildered knights awoke in the dark, blanketed by the heavy tents. As they groped free, they tripped over ropes and cracked their shins on tent poles. Once they were in the open, the mob of bruised, half-clothed knights were startled by the sight of the giant. It seemed to be walking over the trees, and it began to shout at them in a deep, creaky voice. "Away with you! Away from the graves of my forefathers! Be gone, all of you, before the new day dawns!" Then suddenly the swaying knights seemed to disappear from the sky. The frightened knights were left standing in the shambles of the camp. Actually, the giant had fallen from Patience's back, and she trotted away, dragging him behind. Harald caught up with his parents, who were close on Patience's heels. They were busy picking up the bits and pieces that were falling from the giant. There was no time to wonder if their plan had worked until they reached the cave. Dumbfounded, the knights milled about the camp, gathering their wits and their horses. No trace of the giant knight could be found. No one wanted to mention the ghost's warning, but one knight had the courage to say, "This camp is a wreck. I think it's time to leave." "Let's go back to the castle," said a second. A great sigh of relief came from all sides. Not one knight wanted to stay on and risk seeing the giant again. Shortly after sunrise, Harald, Helga, and Walter watched the band of knights make their way slowly up the hill toward the castle. Helga and Walter hugged each other and cried with relief. Harald, who could not contain himself, jumped for joy. After a great deal of work, the three of them cleaned their fields and planted crops. That fall, their harvest was not as big as usual, but it was enough to pay the baron and feed themselves through the winter. The next spring, Harald and his father were planting once again. "Listen to what the wind brings us from down the valley," said Walter. They could hear a faint clanging from the knights at practice on the baron's field. This time, they were but pleasant tinkles to Harold's ears. Nearby stood a familiar figure. It was a scarecrow fashioned from the giant's reeds. As it turned with the wind, it almost seemed to smile. The end. Okay, I think maybe you can see why I like this book so much. Isn't it great?
Mhm.
It's just, I think it's a wonderful story, so clever. So what I have put in your handbook, I had already given you a chart for the story of Peter Rabbit, which is on page 52. But now we've got charts to fill out for all of the books we're going to read. We're going to read one every time. So if you look on page 53, we can fill in some of this stuff for story charts. And I'll also put the one that I make and finish in class. I'll put that on assignment number 2 if you want to have a copy of it. But let's go ahead and fill this out. Up at the top where it says book title, there's the book title. So does everybody see this chart on page 53?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So just write that at the top, Harald and the Giant Knight. And this is not spelled the same way that we would spell Harald. The way the American spelling, at least, is Harold. A herald is this. I think this is a German spelling. I think I looked it up once before. So that's a little bit different. Harald and the Giant Knight. And the author, you can see right there, is Donald Carrick. So if you write these down every time when we get through with reading the book, then you'll have a list of really good storybooks if you ever want to check them out from the library or get your own copy, or you know, want a list later on of some great books that you can share with people. So, because I have found some really good ones. Huh? Turn your face back toward and say it again.
Pen or pencil?
You need a pen or a pencil?
Yeah, which one?
Oh, I don't know. I prefer pen, but if you'd like to write it in pencil, that's fine, because you might want to go back and make corrections or something. Keyword outlines I always want done in pen because they just don't scan well if you don't, you know, and then I can't read them. Okay, so the author is Donald Carrick, Carrick. Did everybody get that? Not yet? Go ahead and jot it down there, Hannah. If you had a chance to sit down with this book on your own and really give it a good look, you would see that the pictures have incredible historical detail in them. It's just really a wonderful book. So, okay. Now, has anybody ever heard the term point of view in stories?
Mm.
You have, Hannah? What is point of view? How would you describe it? Oh, turn your face back toward this way. There you go.
It's basically, how would I describe it?
Okay, that's fine. I think you probably have an idea. Sometimes video games will have point of view. I don't know if any of you play video games, but I mean, I don't, but my boys did. And sometimes you're a character and they'll let you choose whether you're the one seeing the things or whether there's somebody up above seeing the things. And if the person in the story is the one that's telling the story, we call that first person. And if it's somebody that's outside the story telling the story, we call it third person. So that's what we mean by point of view. So is Harald the person that's talking in the story, or is it somebody that's kind of looking down on the story and telling us what's going on?
Looking down.
Yeah, somebody that's looking down on the story. And so we call that third person. So if you want to write that in there, 3RD, third person. Point of view is third person.
Where?
Right here.
Where do we write that?
Right here at the top where it says point of view. So when we say third person, we mean somebody that's not actually in the story is telling us the story. Okay. All right. Now, I've mentioned before what I think the setting of this story is. Do you remember what I said? I'm going to close out this screen share here.
A castle?
Okay. It's definitely at the bottom of a castle, right? That's a particular place. I mentioned that I thought after I looked at the names and figured out the pictures and all, I think it happens at a particular time in history. Does anybody remember what I said about that?
Middle.
Yeah, the Middle Ages, medieval, exactly. I think that's what it is, okay?
Write that for time?
Well, you can if you want to, Middle Ages, yes.
I'm going to.
Okay. And let's see, what season did the main action of the story take place? Did you pick up on that?
No.
It was the time when they should have been planting crops. Do y'all know anything about crop planting?
No, really.
Spring?
Yes. Usually that's done like in the middle or about the middle of spring, not too early, because if you plant things too early, then sometimes there'll be another frost and it'll kill the new plants, right? So, about the middle of spring. So probably the time that this happened, besides the Middle Ages, it would be spring, right? Okay. Let's see, what kind of weather do you think how did it strike you? What did the weather look like? They said something about at the beginning that the Knights had to move their practice because of all of did you hear that part? I guess they've been having a lot of rain and the Knights' fields were muddy. So the weather was probably kind of chilly and maybe a little soggy, and you just have to kind of pick up on these clues.
I'm going to say cool and wet.
Yeah, cool and wet. That's great. That sounds great. Cool and wet. And sometimes we talk about the mood of a story. Sometimes there'll be a mood, like a mysterious mood or kind of a real happy, bright. What do you think about this story? How did that strike you?
Kind of gloomy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is kind of gloomy. It's sort of a gloomy mood. That's a great word there, Gray.